Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of AutoCentral, South Africa's #1 motoring podcast. My name is George Meany, and as usual, joined by none other than Wandile Sishi. How's it, Wandi?
Hey, George, how's it going?
Yeah, good and you?
Can't complain. You know, country's in a little bit of a pickle, but yeah. What else can we do?
Another lockdown episode.
Another lockdown episode, number 2021, scene 17,000. So doesn't seem to end.
Well, yeah. At some point it'll come to an end, and hopefully that some point is not in the distant future, seeing as maybe the vaccine rollout will gain momentum. But you know, we're sitting in the midst of the looting as well, so that seems to have slowed things down.
Yeah, I actually read an article saying that this is kind of actually slowed down the rollout process now because some medical facilities were actually hit as well. So I don't know if people are looting vaccines. If they are, you know, I'll share my number.
What are they going to jab themselves?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the end goal was there.
Well, you know, I saw a video last night where they were looting a blood bank.
For blood?
I don't know. Like, why would you want to steal blood?
I don't know. Everyone just wants something. I don't know what they're going to do with it, but they just anything and everything.
Why the blood bank? Anyway, we're not here to talk about the looting. We're not here to talk about vaccines, and we're not here to talk about COVID-19. We're here to 100%. Talk about cars. And this week's episode we've called the Supercar Saving episode. So how would you save when buying a supercar? Can you afford a supercar? And should you buy a used supercar? Should you buy a new supercar? So listen intently, and we'll unpack some of that. And if you have questions, type them in the comments section, and we'll try and answer them. And then next, Martin Pretorius joins us to unpack the mighty value provider called the 2021 Suzuki Swift 1.2 GLX. And lastly, as always, we'll be answering some of your questions from our Ask Auto Trader platform. So let's get straight into it. Wendy, where can everybody find the episode?
So if you want to find the show, you can always find us 9 a.m. sharp on cliffcentral.com for the audio that's streaming. But other than that, if you want to see our faces as well and see some of the cool exclusive content that we have on the show each week, pending no lockdown, you can also find us on the YouTube, our YouTube channel, which is at AutoTrader SA. And then if you want to stream at your convenience, you can also just find us on any streaming service such as Spotify or iTunes Music. And yeah, just if you're watching the show, please don't forget to just comment, like, subscribe, of course, and just tell us what you guys think.
Exactly. Tell us everything. The good, the bad, the ugly, like, dislike.
That works.
Yeah, we want to make the show better for you. So let's do this thing. Prices of used cars in classifieds, used cars particularly, can be tempting because used cars are like for like in terms of value for money, and what you can get in the car are less expensive than new cars.
Yeah.
So it's very tempting to go for a used car, and I would advocate going for a used car 8 times out of 10.
Always,
pretty much always. If you can get a really good second-hand car, you're in the pound seats because depreciation would have happened already. But if you're buying a supercar, though, can this be a time bomb? Can it be a ticking time bomb just because of the price of the bloody thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think supercars, depending on if, they've become appreciating assets, because, supercars do sometimes, that does happen. But for a large part, a lot of its new car price does go away. And that could be very appealing for a lot of people, including myself, in terms of fast tracking your way into getting yourself inside a supercar, which is the dream.
Yeah, I mean, let's define a supercar first. So, I Googled the definition of a supercar, and it seems the best definition I could find was the obvious answer is speed. Okay. From both a top speed point of view as well as an acceleration point of view. So the obvious answer would be speed. But however, there might be something you didn't know, and that there is a hierarchy. Yeah. And the hierarchy starts with obviously, your budget cars, and then it goes up to your middle of the range
luxury
cars,
performance
and
cars.
luxury performance cars, and then you get to sports cars. So sports cars, I would put some of the Porsches in that category, sports cars. And then there are supercars. And supercars are high-end performance cars, and I didn't kind of like put this hierarchy together, but after supercars are hypercars.
Hypercars, yeah. I mean, that's where electric energy comes into a huge role when it comes to hypercars, because many hypercars that are coming out, that's the difference between their supercar brethren, is they'll just slap on some electric motor in there, and then the performance just skyrockets to the point where it becomes a hypercar.
Yeah, exactly. And I suppose, you know, the LaFerrari, which I think is a hybrid.
It's a hybrid hypercar. Yeah,
hybrid hypercar, and it's that quick because of the reason you just explained. So you know that's the hierarchy of cars. Effectively, is you get, you know, the everyday car that you and I drive, and luxury sedans can sometimes be really quick, and then you get sports cars, and then you get supercars, and then you get hypercars. So today we're talking about supercars, which are you know, kind of like middle of the road between a sports car and a hypercar. So you know, if we've defined what a supercar is it a ticking time bomb? And what's your opinion, Wendy? Can you save up for a supercar, number one, and is it worth buying?
Okay, so, you know, I have quite a lot of experience in not owning a supercar just yet. So I don't actually know how would one go about saving.
How many supercars have you owned?
You know, we did a little bit of research, and we did see that there's people who are on a budget who have found ways around this. Some of them were terrible, like just get a massive loan, but, you know, that puts you in a pickle later on in life. But others are surefire ways of being realistic with regards to what you can do. But I don't know about you. I mean, you just recently bought a new car, which could potentially be considered a sports car.
Yes.
If not a hypercar. So, you know, what's your experience?
I wouldn't put it in the hypercar category, although I think it's I think it's in the sports car category. You know, probably. You know, it's for those who don't know, it's a Jaguar I-Pace, full electric car, and I think it's fast enough to be in the sports car category. I mean, I don't know if you know this, Wendy, but the Jaguar I-Pace is governed to 208 kilometers per hour.
Okay,
it can't go any faster than that. So it falls down. I'm pretty sure it can go faster than that, but it's governed to 208.
Yeah, it's governed. Yeah. So kind of it doesn't really hit the threshold of supercar, but in terms of top speed, but with regards to performance and acceleration, it definitely plays around with some of the likes of, you know, the M2s and the M3s.
Oh no! I mean, those cars, the Jaguar I-Pace eats those for breakfast. Now, what's going to be a lot of comments of M3 owners or GTI owners? Nonetheless, we're not here to talk about the Jaguar I-Pace electric car. We're here to talk about a supercar. So I've never owned one, you know, and I've never really wanted to own one. They're nice to look at, nice to be inside. I've been inside Ferraris, Lamborghinis, and you know, I don't know how many of you have driven inside, Wendy?
I've driven one or two Porsches, and one of my, I'd say he used to stay in the same area as me. He's a good friend of mine. His father had a Lamborghini, so I've, you know, been on it wasn't a hot lap. It was just kind of a straight line, and it was insane. It's a feeling that you just don't get used to. Don't listen to what people say. It's you know, it's definitely a supercar. It feels super. So yeah,
feels super.
Is it worth it? Yes. Short answer is yes.
It feels super. There you go. Wendy will bring a new version of supercar to the table. It feels super. So you know, everyone dream, like when you're a little boy. I suppose not everybody, but girls dream of, you know, different things to boys, and Supercar Blondie dreams of supercars all day. But you dream of supercars as a young child sometimes, and you know, and you dream of owning this Lamborghini, and you know, a lot of kids dream of owning a Lamborghini. So how do you go about buying this thing? So first of all, I suppose, like any other cars, examine your budget, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. I'm so glad we're doing this. Let me just highlight that, George. I'm
Did you
so
just
glad
call
that
me
we're
Rob?
talking about this because I almost called you Rob.
You almost it's like it's not Bob.
Sorry?
Like you didn't call me Bob.
No, I almost said Rob. But yeah, I think I'm so glad we're doing this because honestly, like I look at cars all the time, but I've never really thought about like what do you actually consider when you're buying a supercar, specifically a used supercar. So examining your budget, what do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, let's wait till the end. So if you listen right to the end, we're going to give you some examples of what you need to earn to afford these supercars. So examine your budget and wait till the end. You'll hear a little bit more about that. Then the next one is kind of like also a no-brainer in around every car, and that is research and obtain information about the vehicle. And I suppose in the supercar's case, because of the price bracket, it's even more important to do this. Don't just assume because something is expensive that it is okay. I think that's the point. Is, you know, if the car costs 3 million rand, it doesn't mean that it's any different to any other second-hand car. You got to check out the information on the vehicle. Check out reviews online. Check out you know, how the car drives. Drive the car yourself. I mean, we'll get to the test drive but in a second. But, you know, what other information do you think people should obtain?
So I think one of the big things that people mistake when they switch from one body type specifically to another one is the limitations in what you can do with that vehicle. So I think a lot of people want a supercar, but what does it mean to actually own one in terms of driving it every single day? You know, for instance, Porsche is renowned for being a supercar brand where you can daily the car. You can drive it daily. Just because of I guess it doesn't break as much as well as it's more refined to driving in streets versus other supercars, which are extremely low. The boot space is limited. You can't really use it on a daily basis. So it's important to just research what your how you're going to be using the car. You're going to be dailing it, or is it just a kind of a weekend car for you?
Dailing it. I like that word. You're going to be dailing it. So validate ownership. I mean, I think the important part that a lot of people miss is, you know, not checking out the previous ownership history.
Vehicle.
You know, find out whether you can find out how many owners has this car had, who owned it. You know, some people are not going to like let you know who owned it, or they want to be anonymous. But I mean, it doesn't make it any worse. But try and find out who owned it. Was it a you know, a granny 80-year-old driver of the Lamborghini? Then I'd say buy it on the spot. You know, but if you're a 25-year-old driving that thing around, it's going to maybe have been abused. So find out a little bit about the ownership, and then test drive the car. Do you think dealerships will just allow you to go and test drive a supercar?
I think so. I don't think dealerships have any sort of prejudice with regards to almost blanket positioning someone who is potentially inquiring.
I think they will check you out, though. You know, if they
100%, but they can't deny you a test drive. That makes sense.
Well, if you can't afford to buy the car, or there's indications that you're not going to buy the car, they can deny you a test drive.
Can they?
Yeah,
that's news.
Yeah, of course they can. They own the car. Of course they can deny. You can't just walk into any dealership and go and like, oh, I want to drive that car. Oh, I want to drive that car. I want to drive that car.
Of course. I'm talking about for someone who has intent of actually purchasing a car.
If there's intent,
they'll more than likely, you know, say let's take it for a spin and see if this is actually for you or not.
Exactly. You know, and then more often than not, you driving a supercar or even a hypercar, that thing is so quick you can really kill yourself in it. You know, the dealership has to be careful. Then review the vehicle's history. I think we touched on this just now a little bit, but besides the previous owners, you know, what would you review in the vehicle's history? Okay,
so before I unpack that, there's something that's quite important to understand with regards to specifically hypercars and as imported cars, is that the vehicle history and ownership is limited to almost entirely the OEM. So it's important that you don't just do an online check out, but to additionally also just go and speak to the OEM, speak to the person who's owned the car and see what they know about the previous owners, because you may be a third owner of the vehicle. So it's really just doing proper due diligence and understanding who has owned it from the OEM, as well as any sort of information you can get, because it does become limited the more rare the vehicle is.
Exactly, and then complete the transaction. I suppose is one of the next steps, and that is, it's more than just paying, shaking hands, and walking away. It's proper paperwork needs to be done, documents handed over. Make sure the transfer of ownership gets done properly into your name, so that you can actually prove that you own this supercar. You're paying millions of rands for the car. Make sure that you actually own the car.
So, with that being said, it seems like owning a supercar then would be pretty similar to the process of going about buying any other vehicle. I think a lot of people are scared by, one, the price, but secondly, just the daunting aspect of, am I somebody who can actually, do I have the status to own a supercar? And it's clearly the case is no, anybody can really do it.
Well, I mean, let's unpack that a little bit. And if you're earning 12,000 rand a month, and you'd be able to buy a car for around about 100,000 rand. While on the other end of the scale, to buy a car of 3.5 million rand, you'd have to earn almost 400,000 rand a month to own a car or finance a car at 3.5 million rand. So and this is assuming that people are going to spend no more than 20% of their gross monthly income to finance the car, and no more than 30% of their income financing their home. So what the financial institutions are looking for is affordability, and that affordability goes to, the repayment on the car shouldn't be much more than 20% of your gross income. And then if you do have a home loan, that's also going to impact the ability for the bank to push the boundaries of that 20%. And they're going to look to see that you're paying no more than 30% of your gross income on your home loan. And what we've assumed here is a 0% deposit and prime plus 2, which is probably a little bit on the high side, and 5-year finance, where you can get longer finance periods. So so what cars can people afford? What price brackets can people afford on what salaries in that particular scenario? We said right at the beginning we're gonna address budget.
Yeah, so I think it was quite interesting once we had this information. We did a little bit of digging on AutoTrader to see what supercars are available, kind of in the mid-range. And we found that the first one, Aston Martin Vantage V12, for instance, the S Coupe, which is the 2015 model, which costs about 1.9 million, you need about 230,000 rand per month, assuming all those assumptions have been met.
Yes, okay.
So it's still quite pricey. It's not something that a lot of people, I believe, at least earn in South Africa. But that's definitely something that I would consider if I was around that
advantage. Well, let's run through the list very quickly. So we said that 3.5 million rand car, you need to earn about 400,000 rand a month. 2 million rand car, you need to earn about 230,000 rand a month. A 1 million rand car, you need to earn about 117,000 rand a month. And a 900,000 rand car, you need to earn about 100,000 rand a month. And then it drops from there. 650,000 rand car, you need to earn about 73,000 rand a month. And a 565,000 rand car, you need to earn about 63,000 rand a month. Below 500,000, a 450,000 rand car, you need to earn at least 50,000 rand a month. And a 420,000 rand car, you need to earn just under 50,000 rand a month. And then it drops to, if you want to buy a car for just under 350,000 rand, you need to earn around 40,000 rand a month. And then if you want to buy a car for 220 odd thousand rand, you need to earn at least 26,000 rand. So I hope that gives you an idea. We will put that table out on social media and maybe in the description below, where you can see what you need to earn in order to buy yourself a supercar.
So with that being said, if you're going to finance it for about 5 years, a used supercar, you need around 230,000 rand per month for you to be safe, given that your home loan, as well as your gross monthly income doesn't exceed the 20% for this vehicle that you're purchasing.
Exactly. Well, that brings us to the next piece, and that is we are going to bring our expert journalist Martin Pretorius in to come and review the 2021 Suzuki Swift 1.2 GLX. How's it, Martin?
How's it, George? Nice to be back. Hello, Wandy.
Hey, how's it going, Martin?
Good, thanks, man. Good.
Martin, we were just talking about supercars and the 2021 Suzuki Swift 1.2 GLX, I'm assuming, is no supercar.
It's definitely not the supercar. The closest it gets to super is it's a super mini.
Okay, and no reference to my surname. The 2021 Suzuki Swift 1.2 GLX. Let's first of all, Martin, what is your first impression of this car?
Okay, first impression, walking up to it, I thought, wow, this looks good. This test car was white with a black roof, and which is actually one of the new color schemes that they've added with this last facelift. And it actually looks really, really good. It looks more upmarket than it actually is.
Two-tone. I mean, two-tone used to be a thing in the 80s, right?
Yeah, two-tone used to be a big thing. This is a little bit of a different application, but I think it takes inspiration from, well, aspirational cars like the Golf R and the like with the black panoramic roofs. So this is like a budget way of mimicking that appearance, and it really works well with the Swift styling.
Interesting
So
stuff.
the two-tone you're saying is the roof is kind of a different color to the rest of the vehicle.
Yeah, there are three different options in terms of dual tone colors. The other combinations are red and black, so red bottom and a black roof.
That should look quite
blue
nice.
car with a white roof. Now I've seen that one as well, and it looks quite funky.
What, the blue with the white?
Blue with a white roof.
Okay, I would have thought black with red with black looks better than blue with white, but maybe seeing it in the flesh is a different story.
It's actually nice of. I just think it's nice of Suzuki to actually offer some real funky colors and nice, cool color combinations, especially in a car that competes in the budget segment.
Can you have the same color? Can you have one color, or is it only two-tone?
You can.
But why would you, George? You gotta live.
I don't know.
Curiously.
Have you ever seen a supercar in two-tone?
I've seen stripes, which are different colors.
So how does it drive, Martin?
Exactly the same as the current third generation Swift has driven since, I think, 2018. It's a 1.2 liter with a 5-speed manual gearbox. It's not a powerhouse, but it weighs next to nothing. 875 kilograms means that little 1.2 liter engine actually gets it moving quite smartly.
Oh, that's very interesting. So if you say it drives exactly the same as the previous model, is this just a facelift?
This is such a minor change that Suzuki actually calls it the minor change in their literature.
Okay, so
if it ain't broke, right? There's no need to fix it. And the last one was phenomenal.
So what they do is they took a solid base and then they made it look a little bit nicer with a different grille and new alloy wheels and the different paint schemes and so on. But crucially, they improved the equipment levels specifically on the safety front.
Okay.
So that's where the difference comes in.
Are we going to get a Swift model of this vehicle? Because I know the old Suzuki Swift the Sport was amazing. So are we going to get a Sport here?
Well, the Sport has been out for, what was it now, 2 years already. I actually drove it at Red Star Raceway at launch, and it was, like the old one, an absolute bundle of fun. But it's a 1.4 liter turbo. And it's quite a lot more expensive than even this top spec 1.2 GLX.
Okay, so if this is really just minor changes, as Suzuki and you put it, what is the price difference?
The price difference went up by about 5,000 rand.
Oh, okay. So the price hasn't increased that much.
No, it's not that much, and it's actually in line with the general periodic price increases. So essentially, Suzuki decided to make the Swift a nicer car without charging more for it in real terms.
And it's safer.
The nice thing is some of these upgrades actually carry through to the bottom of the range models as well, such as the new stability control system. You get that even with the base spec 1.2 GA, which has almost nothing else, but at least it has stability control, and it costs less than 180,000.
Huh.
Yeah, I mean, you did say that this versus some of its competitors, you're looking at, almost 50% less price.
Yeah. So let's look at some other 1.2 liter competitors. The Opel Corsa, for instance, the new Opel Corsa and the new Hyundai i20, all open with naturally aspirated 1.2 liter engines, neither of which can actually match the Suzuki in power or performance. And they cost about 40% more without offering this comprehensive level of standard equipment. And if I can go through the list quickly of the things you get with this car. There we go. Keyless entry, push button start, climate control, high resolution color touchscreen infotainment system with full smartphone mirroring, a rear view camera, electric windows all round, central locking, air conditioning. There's a lot of toys you get for your money.
Well, I mean, so I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, Martin, but I keep seeing, is it the Suzuki ad I keep seeing with the guys on the horse next to it?
I think that's the Grand i10 ad, the Hyundai.
Is that the Grand i10 ad? Because well, maybe we, but I mean that ad kind of like what you were just saying now is like everything that is in that ad. I think it comes standard. It comes standard. It comes standard. So it sounds like the Suzuki Swift comes standard with everything too.
Yeah, especially in 1.2 liter GLX format like this, less than 220,000 Rand. Gets you all of this. And I mean, many of these features, you'd have to pay extra to get them in a large car.
Yeah.
So it's extremely well equipped at the price. I mean, it's priced, it's less expensive than an entry-level Ford Figo.
Yeah.
But it has so much more as standard. And now that's a large part of the Suzuki Swift's appeal across the range, but especially in top spec GLX like this, is you get everything for small change.
Lovely, lovely stuff. So what, Martin, would you give the Suzuki Swift 2021 1.2 GLX at a score out of 10?
I would give it a 7.5 out of 10.
So it beats the Opel Corsa.
I had to deduct points for a few things. There are some bugbears with this car. It's not really suitable for high-speed driving or high-speed freeway cruising.
Why would you want to drive a little car like that at speed?
Sorry?
Why would you want to drive a car so small at high speed?
Well, I mean, high speed, like 140.
But then you're putting your foot through the floorboard.
Pretty much. So there's a little bit of an issue with high-speed stability, and that's to do, I suspect, with the Indian specification suspension, which, again, on the other hand, is offset by extremely comfortable ride quality.
Okay.
So I think that's more important for a car of this nature.
Yeah, definitely.
What does score at points? The two strongest suits, extremely comprehensive standard equipment and superb fuel efficiency. I mean, I drove this car like I stole it.
Oh, wow.
Which still kept me within legal limits most of the time. But it nonetheless returned 5.7 liters per 100 with the aircon running all the time. You never see this with any other car.
Well, the last car that got that kind of, well, a slightly higher score that fits into the hatchback category was the electric Golf, the e-Golf, which got an 8 out of 10. So if you're saying that this little Suzuki Swift, which is only 199,000 Rand, I just looked on autotrader.co.za, only 199,000 Rand for a 2021 model, you're kind of, and I think you put it well. Martin put it well, and that is it punches above its weight.
Yeah. And I can also confirm over the last few years, I've actually put numerous of my personal friends behind the wheels of Swifts.
Okay.
They bought Swifts at my suggestion. And across the board, they cannot stop singing their praises.
Wow.
So it doesn't just impress for a week, it impresses for a few years of ownership. And I think that counts for a lot.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to go and read more, watch more of our expert journalist Martin Pretorius's work and opinions on various cars, multiple Swifts, go ahead to autotrader.co.za and go to the news and review section, and you'll be able to find all Martin's work and opinions on these cars, down to feature, trim level, depreciation, and our expert journalists spend countless hours inside their 4-seater office, sometimes 7-seater offices, bringing you all of the expert reviews and news on these cars. So thank you very much, Martin. Appreciate you joining us, and we will see you next time.
Thanks for having me, guys. Have a great show.
Thanks, Martin.
Cheers.
Cheers all.
Well, there you have it. What do you think, Wendy?
Yeah, it's no brainer. If you're looking for a first car or a car for a loved one or your child, then the Swift it seems like it ticks all the boxes.
Well, let's move on to our last piece, and that is Ask AutoTrader. So every day people send AutoTrader motoring related questions, all things car buying and selling. And now Wendy and I will attempt to answer some of those burning questions for you. What's the first question, Wendy?
Moving swiftly along, pun intended, the first question comes from Fazlin, who's asked, I would like to buy a car but don't have a license.
Before we get to answer that question, Wendy, a supercar and moving swiftly along, you're on the money today. I missed that question totally. What was it again?
So if I don't own a license, can I still buy a car?
Well, firstly, Fazlin, you don't own a license. You have the luxury of having one. So, you can't. I don't think you can own a license. You can own a car. But the short answer is you don't need a driver's license to buy and register a car. Although if you finance it, I'm pretty sure that the bank is going to frown on it. But you do need a license to drive one on public roads. So I'm not quite sure why you're asking this question, and if you want to drive illegally, don't do it. So go ahead and buy the car, if you're just using it as a centerpiece somewhere, then fine, buy it and look at it. But you do need a license to drive the car on the road. So I hope that answers your question. Next question.
100%. Next question comes from Luigi, who's asked, I earn, let's just say 6,600. But they don't have a pay slip. Is it possible to get a car?
To minimize risk, Luigi. Luigi. He's an Italian Luigi. To minimize risk, most above board financial institutions are going to demand or require proof of regular income. And the days of just providing bank statements with income is long gone. I mean, anybody can fake putting money in the bank. So, cycle money through accounts. So the banks are going to require probably up to 6 months pay slips. And so you're going to have a little bit of a hard time, and the ability to get finance is going to be difficult or limited. And we'd suggest rather saving up and putting a big deposit down, and where you do have a pay slip, or try and get pay slips, then provide that to the bank to finance. So there are non-official loan providers or micro lenders. And generally, the interest rates and service charges from these micro lenders are very high. So I would think twice before I went to a micro lender. But micro lenders do have a place in the world.
Agreed. Okay, last question comes from Shorts, who's asked, can I trade in a VW Polo Comfort Line 1 liter 2020 year model that is still being financed for a 2016 double cab Ford Ranger?
Shorts, and I see that's spelled SHAWTS, not shorts as in the shorts you are wearing at the moment, Wendy. Shorts, you can indeed trade the car in and finance it for another one, or even an older year model, because I see it's 2016 double cab Ford Ranger you want to buy. But you bought this car probably a year ago, the VW Polo Comfort Line. Chances are, because it's a VW Polo Comfort Line, chances are it's going to have held its value pretty well, but you're still going to have lost money through the first year's depreciation, and chances are your loan wouldn't have kept up. So it would be a little bit of a detrimental move to trade in the VW Polo right now. You can do it, but my sense is you're going to lose money.
Understood. That's all I have for you.
Is that all you have for me?
That's all the questions.
How's Hamilton doing?
Well, we'll find out next week. We'll find out. We'll find out next week.
He's still second,
but
right?
right now, not so great.
He's still second on the championship, right?
Still second. Just signed a 3-year contract, so
Still with Mercedes.
Still with Mercedes. Not going anywhere. Thank heavens.
Well, it's been epic, ladies and gentlemen, and my name is George Mini as usual, joined by Wandile Sishi, and we will see you next time.